So ever since last year, when Microsoft announced that they were going to be buying ZeniMax and Bethesda, there were a lot of questions around exclusivity for these games. I mean, this was the largest purchase acquisition that we've ever seen in the gaming industry. Over $7 billion is what it cost Microsoft to acquire ZeniMax, Bethesda, and all of those IPs that people have grown very attached to now. Think of like Fallout, for example. Well, looking at what we have here with Phil Spencer going through a live stream where they did kind of a sit down and they basically talked about what's going to be happening here going forward. He tried to be as clear as possible, and I think it was pretty clear. He didn't really get into specifics as to games coming up because they still need to work out, really, I would say, the release schedules and all of these other things. And who knows? It's possible that there are a few games that could be set up contractually to still be going to the PlayStation. But let's take a look at what Phil Spencer had to say here and what it could mean for Microsoft, the Xbox, and Bethesda going forward. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave Plus channel, make sure you subscribe down below. So we have a transcription of it here. This is from comicbook.com, where it says Spencer was asked near the start of today's event about how Bethesda games will be rolling out in the future and what platforms they will come to. Hoping to put an end to the questions altogether, Spencer said he wanted to do his best to clearly portray the situation so that fans can know what to expect. Obviously, I can't sit here and say that every Bethesda game is an exclusive because we know that's not true. There are contractual obligations that we're going to see through, as we always do in every one of these instances. So think about how we had The Outer Worlds come out, and despite naturally Microsoft having purchased Obsidian, that game still went to the PlayStation 4 and all of this. So they continue to keep these contractual obligations correct and true and all of that, which also would carry over to things like Deathloop that's coming out in May for the PlayStation 5 as an exclusive currently. We'll see if it's timed or whatnot down the road. And then you also have Ghostwire Tokyo, another one that Microsoft has pointed out, saying that they will follow through with those contractual obligations there. He goes on further to say we have games that exist on other platforms and we're going to support those games on the platforms they're on. There's communities of players. We love those communities and we'll continue to invest in them. And even in the future, there might be things that have contractual things or legacy on different platforms that we'll go do. But if you're an Xbox customer, this is the thing I want you to know. This is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. And that's our goal. That's why we're doing this. That's the root of this partnership that we're building, and the creative capability we will be able to bring to market for our Xbox customers is going to be the best it's ever been for Xbox after we're done here. And this is what I've been saying for a long time. Ever since the acquisition was announced, I pretty much realized this is a big time move for the next 20 years or so. Like, Microsoft is obviously looking to build Game Pass into their actual system. Like, a lot of people still look at what Microsoft is doing and still think in the traditional sense. Microsoft more or less has Game Pass at like the heart of their business strategy here. The Xbox is a delivery method for Game Pass. Your cell phone is a delivery method for Game Pass. Your browser will become a delivery method. You can play it on your PC if you want, but at the end of the day, Microsoft wants to try to get as many people in to the subscription service as they can, because the idea of their gaming division being more of a service keeps them relevant to the overall Microsoft business itself. Microsoft is a service-based company. I know we see the Xbox as it was when it came out back in 2001, still to this day, being more traditional. You sell a number of consoles and then you sell a number of games on those consoles, and that's how you make your money. Well, things have evolved quite a bit. We went up to DLC, then we went up to live service games, and now we're to the point where Microsoft and, even Sony and technically Nintendo are looking at monthly active users as the most important metric. That's what they say to their investors every single time they meet up. And that's not just Microsoft, it's Nintendo and Sony as well. Those are very important numbers, and it's clear that Microsoft is essentially going all in with a purchase like this for the future of those monthly active users and Game Pass. And that does mean that, yes, Bethesda games going forward are going to be exclusive to the Game Pass ecosystem. That doesn't mean like just Xbox. You could technically play these games on your cell phone if you would like, or on your browser, or on your PC that maybe you built and is really, really nice. You can just download them and play them. But I don't really see why Microsoft would just drop, say, Fallout 5 on the PlayStation 5, and he seems to be making that very clear here. The idea of having these games and buying really a publisher studio as large as ZeniMax or Bethesda is to bolster the Game Pass lineup and create exclusives for it. And trust me, I hear it quite a bit. Well, they'd be leaving a lot of money on the table. I mean, you could say that, though, about any of these companies. Wouldn't Sony do better releasing their games everywhere, day and date, PC even? Like, what if we'll say Spider-Man 2 comes out? Wouldn't it be better if they put it on PC and they put it on the Xbox and as many places as they could? Well, that's not really their business strategy. I mean, really, if you look at Nintendo, they would do great if they put their games everywhere as well. I bet you Astral Chain would have doubled or even tripled in sales if it went to Steam and the PlayStation as well, same day. But Nintendo and Sony are working more towards the traditional sense, the traditional business model that we are used to, where they work to create first-party games to sell systems. Microsoft is going to be creating several big-time first-party games to sell their system, which is Game Pass. And it's still hard for people to wrap their head around because, let's face it, the business model does sound weird to us, doesn't it? I mean, Game Pass is $15 a month and we just get all of these games. Yeah, that's basically what Microsoft is trying to do. They're trying to change the way that they are looking at the business. They are looking at more of a numbers game rather than try to have one system go to each person and then continue to stack purchases and other things on top of that. Now, Phil Spencer does mention the idea of contractual obligations for games that maybe aren't even out yet. And that's the biggest thing here. We don't really know where the line in the sand has been drawn. Like Starfield, I think, is the big question mark right now. That's the part that's up in the air because there have been rumors that it could potentially be coming out later this year. It could be one of their holiday titles. And if it is, I would be curious if that is something that's already been set up previously to be on the PlayStation 5, and maybe Bethesda, their publishing label, wants to put it on the PS5, and that was something they were already setting up. So we'll see with that one. There's also a chance, though, that Microsoft came in and said, well, if you guys want more time to make Starfield, you can take another year or so. And who knows, maybe by then they go, well, it's just going to be a Game Pass game if we're going to give you, that extra time to do that. A lot of things are up in the air there. But like the next Elder Scrolls, I mean, do we think that's going to be out in the next 2 years? Probably not. So yeah, that's one that most likely will just be on Xbox, PC, xCloud, all of that. And then going forward, yes, all of these big studios that are now under Microsoft's umbrella from Bethesda are just going to be making Game Pass games. Games like The Elder Scrolls Online will continue to be on all platforms that is currently supported. Like, basically, Microsoft's not going to go around and start ripping games off of platforms. They'll continue to support them and maybe even create some cool things for it, like we've seen with the VR mode for PlayStation with Minecraft. But I wouldn't expect anything big or new or AAA from Microsoft than going to the PS5 with Bethesda and ZeniMax. But let me know what you guys think about this one. I feel like it was pretty clear cut right here. If the system has Game Pass, well, you'll be able to play some of these games that Microsoft's putting out. Otherwise, though, you're going to have to get a PC or an Xbox if you want to play it locally, or hey, you can always stream it on your cell phone. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.